Welcome to lesson 19. In this lesson you will learn how to process integer numbers. An integer is a non-decimal number. In other words, it's a whole number. Almost all of our Delphi components have properties that are integers. Examples of integer properties are width, height, top and left. They are all non-decimal numbers. In the computer industry, any whole number from -2 billion to +2 billion is considered an integer number. There on the screen you can see the exact range of numbers. For now, it is not important that you memorize the exact range of numbers. What you should remember is that an integer is a whole number. Any decimal numbers like 2.25 or 3.14 are not integers. They are called real numbers or floating point numbers. You will learn more about real numbers in the next lesson. Many of our applications will receive numbers as input from our users. These programs must then use the numbers to do calculations, and sometimes they must produce an output or a result. Some applications do simple calculations like counting. Some applications may do more moderate calculations like multiplication, addition, subtraction and division. You may even get involved with programs that do more advanced calculations. For example, scientific or financial applications that require complex formulas. In this lesson, we will only look at simple calculations, but in later lessons we are going to get our hands dirty with some complex number crunching. In many cases, the numbers that we will work with will be typed into a component like an edit or a spin edit. Our code must then read those values. If a number is typed into an edit, it means that that number is assigned to the text property of that edit. In previous lessons, you learned that the text property only accepts string values. Therefore, although you type a number into an edit, that number is still a string data type. You can't do math calculations with string values. You must first convert the numbers into a data type that can be used for math calculations. Let's look at this example. If you have two edits that require numbers as input, and you type 75 in the first edit and 84 into the second edit, those two numbers are not integers yet. They are still text values typed into the edits, in other words string values. If you add these two numbers, the result will not be 159. It will be 7584. This is because the plus sign concatenates the two strings. It joins the text 75 with the text 84. To solve this problem, you must first convert the string or text values to integers. This can be done by using one of Delphi's built-in functions called the string-to-int function. The string-to-int function receives the text values as an argument, adds it, and then converts the result into an integer. The result will therefore be 159. To display the result to our users is now also a problem. You can't display an integer in the caption of a label or add it to the lines of a rich edit. Captions and line properties only accept string values. Because the result, in this case 159, is an integer data type, Delphi will return an error. That is because an integer is incompatible with strings. However, you can also solve this problem with a conversion function. When you assign the integer to a string property, you must first make it compatible. You do that with Delphi's IntToStr function. The IntToStr function is the opposite of the string-to-int function that we saw a few moments ago. You must pass the integer number, in this case 159, as an argument to the IntToStr function. Delphi will then convert the integer to a string. That string can then be assigned to string properties like captions, lines and texts. Let's go back to Delphi's IDE and try this out with a practical example. Here I still have the translation program open in my copy of Delphi. For this demonstration I want to use the age calculations application that I created in lesson 13. Click the File menu, click Open. The Open dialog window pops up. I will go ahead and find the age calculations application that I saved in the Delphi Schools Video Projects folder. Okay, here it is. Double click the age calculation folder. The project and unit file for the age calculation project is now listed in the Open dialog window. Double click on the project file called agecalculations_p. The project is now loaded in the IDE. If the form is hidden, just click on its title bar to bring it forward. Let's quickly explore this graphical user interface. Select the first spin edit. This spin edit's name is SED Mary's age. Select the second spin edit. This spin edit's name is SED John's age. Select the light blue panel under the spin edits. This panel's name is P&L result. And select the calculate button. This button's name is BTN calculate. Let's now have a closer look at some of the spin edit's properties. Select the spin edit called SED Mary's age again. Now scroll down to the bottom of the object inspector. The min value property indicates that the lowest age for Mary is 1. The max value property indicates that the highest age for Mary is 100. Both these properties accept only whole numbers, in other words integers. Further down you also have a value property. It indicates Mary's age at the moment. The value property is also an integer. In this case, Mary is 1 year old. You can now go ahead and also explore the properties for the other spin edit. You will see that their settings are the same. When you run this application, you can change the ages by clicking on the up or down buttons on the right hand side of the spin edits, or you can change it by typing the age. When you change an age to a different number, you are changing the value property of the spin edit. We just explored the value property in the object inspector. We saw that it only accepts integer numbers. To add the two ages, we must write code for the calculate button's click event handler. Our code must read the ages from the spin edits, add the two numbers, and display the result in the light blue panel. Let's start by creating a click event handler for the calculate button. Double-click the calculate button. Delphi automatically generates the click event handler for BTN calculate. Between the begin and end statements, indent your code and type a comment. It must read, display combined ages in P&L result. On the next line, type P&L result dot caption, followed by an assignment operator, followed by SED Mary's age. Type a dot, followed by V. Let's stop right there. We want to get the value of SED Mary's age. But when I type a V after the dot, I do not get the value in the list. In fact, there are no properties that start with a V in this list. The reason why Delphi doesn't show you the value property in the list is because the value is an integer. You want to assign the integer to a panel's caption, which is a string. You are not allowed to assign integers to string properties because they are not compatible with each other. So, Delphi only presents us with choices that will be understood by the compiler. To make an integer compatible for output in a string property, we must first convert the integer to a string data type. We do that by passing the integer value as an argument to the IntToStr function. Let's try that. First, remove the code that you typed after the assignment operator. Type INT and press the Ctrl and Space key simultaneously. In the list that appears, you will now see the IntToStr function. A function is similar to the methods that we explored in the previous lesson. When you call one of Delphi's built-in functions, you are actually telling Delphi's compiler to execute a bunch of predefined code that the Delphi creators already wrote. That code is contained or encapsulated in the function that you call. In this case, you are calling the IntToStr function, which is a conversion function. The Delphi creators already wrote the necessary code inside this function to convert an integer to a string. You do not even have to know how it is done. All you need to know is how to use it. Notice that the value that we pass as an argument must be between brackets. The IntToStr function requires the integer value that you want to convert. The part after the colon indicates that the IntToStr function will return a string value. In other words, the integer that we pass as an argument between the brackets will be converted to produce a string value. Press the Enter key to select the IntToStr function. Delphi types the name of the function followed by brackets. You also get two tips that tells you the type of data that can be passed as an argument. The argument can be an integer or an int64. An int64 is also a whole number, but it has a much wider range than an integer. For now, the differences in size between an integer and an int64 is not so important. Mary and John's ages can never exceed 100, so an integer's range is good enough for us. Now put your insertion point between the brackets. Type SED Mary's age, followed by a dot. After the dot, type a V. This time Delphi shows the value property in the list. That is because Delphi can see that you are about to convert the integer into a string before you assign it to the caption of the panel. Here you can also now see the value property's data type is an integer. Press enter to select the value property. Type a plus, followed by SED John's age, dot value, and enter instruction with a semicolon. In an earlier lesson I taught you that it is easier to read your instruction from the back. Let's read this line from the back. Here I instruct Delphi's compiler to read the value in SED John's age, and then add the value property in SED Mary's age. After adding the two values, the compiler must take the result and convert it to a string data type by using the IntToStr function. And then, that string must be assigned to the caption property of the panel called P&L result. Let's run the application to test our code. Click the Run button in the speed bar. Click the up arrow a few times to change Mary's age. Stop at 18. Click the up arrow button a few times to change John's age. You can stop at 16. You can also type a number directly into the spin edit. Here I changed Mary's age to 17 by typing the age. If Mary is 17 and John is 16, their combined age must be 33. Let's see if our calculation works. Click the Calculate button, and there you can see the output in the panel is 33. Remember, the number 33 that is displayed in the panel's caption is not an integer number anymore. We asked Delphi to convert it to a string to make it compatible with the caption property of the panel. If that number is really a string data type now, it means that we must be able to also concatenate it with other string values. Let's try that. Close the form. Place your insertion point between the assignment operator and the IntToStr function. Type the words combined age, followed by a colon. Also remember the inverted commas because you are typing a string value here. Type a concatenation operator after the string. If you want to, you can also put the last part of this instruction on the next line to make your code more readable. Let's quickly look at this code again. Here we have two pluses now, but they have different purposes. The last plus sign is an addition operator. It adds the two ages. When you use a plus sign with numbers, the compiler uses it as an addition operator. First plus sign combines two strings. In this case, it concatenates the words combined age with the sum of Mary and John's ages after it was converted to a string. When you use a plus sign with string values, the compiler sees it as a concatenation operator. Let's test our code again. Click the Run button in the speed bar. Change Mary's age to 18 and change John's age to 16. 18 plus 16 is 34. Let's see what we get. Click the Calculate button. Now the panel shows combined age 34. The string combined age was concatenated with the sum of Mary's and John's ages. In this lesson, we only used a plus sign to add two numbers, but you can just as easily use other math operators to do things like subtraction and multiplication. We will also explore that in future lessons. We only looked at whole numbers or integers in this lesson, but in the next lesson I will show you how to work with decimal or real numbers. I'll talk to you again in lesson 20.